Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is The Surge Effect, and I'm your host, Mike Surge. This podcast will be talking about anything and everything, life in general to current events and past events, and all things about this beautiful and wonderful world that we live in. And this podcast, well, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of The Surge Effect. In today's episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about what's happened the last couple of days in our House of Commons here, and of course in the news cycle with Trudeau and Pierre Polievre. And Pierre Polievre is skyrocketing with his numbers in the polls. Anyway, so before we get started, I want to mention two of our sponsors. Number one sponsor is Love My Legs Own Sound Grey Bruce. Click on the link below and go and check out those leggings with the different waistbands that they have to offer, and they are the only lifetime guarantee in the business. Second sponsor is He Shirts, She Shirts. Head on over to their website again. Click on the link below and see what they have to offer. They are more than just a t-shirt company. They sell all kinds of clothing, so check them out. And like I said before, I always usually put in two different things, and this time I'm going to put in the microphones that I use. This here is a Rodecaster mic. I'm going to put the description right there. Check the link below. All kinds of people use these in podcasting, and they are a great microphone. And I'm going to also double it up with the Rodecaster Pro 2. I'm going to put the link below, and it'll take you right to that site, and you can check them out. But they work hand in hand because they're both Rodecaster, and Rodecaster is a great company, especially when it comes to podcasting. Okay, so like I said, before we get started, I have a few things I want to play for you. And the first one is going to be about, of course, never with Trudeau here. He is, let's see, he was down in... he was speaking in Philadelphia. Here he is. He was speaking in Philadelphia, and this was actually just today, which is May 22nd. So listen to what he has to say here. It's quite interesting.
We're at a time right now where democracy itself is under significant challenges. I can't be here in the birthplace of American democracy without reflecting a little bit on the fact that democracy didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen by accident because people came together to try and build it and create it and worked really hard at it. It didn't happen by accident, and it doesn't continue without effort. And I think one of the big challenges we have is we're taking things for granted. We're allowing misinformation and disinformation to infect our body politic and our citizens, and people are not seeing the way some of the building blocks of the freedoms and the successes that we've been able to build in two of the freest countries on earth, Canada and the United States.
The freedoms that we're building between Canada and the United States. Quite interesting considering what has transpired in our beautiful, beautiful country under this guy's rule. And that's why I'm going to play this one for you right here.
As you can also see, Canada is a place of free expression, where individuals and communities are free to express themselves openly and strongly. We thank them for sharing their perspectives. Merci beaucoup. Merci d'être ici. Being a democracy doesn't mean we all agree. It means we all work together, we all listen to each other, we all respect each other. And that's how we move forward, doing the most important thing in front of us, protecting nature.
Isn't that something? And he was also talking about misinformation and disinformation. Well, he had this to say in regards to our vax.
And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, so unless people have a medical exception, they will not be able to board a plane or a train in Canada if they are unvaccinated. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated,
Want to get vaccinated? That's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
and therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, and if you make a choice, a personal choice, to not get vaccinated, then I will have no sympathy for you when you come to me and said, oh, but I can't go out to a restaurant with my friends, or I'm not being allowed to go to the gym, or my employer is telling me I have to continue to work from home. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, the bottom line is if anyone who doesn't have a legitimate medical reason for not getting fully vaccinated chooses to not get vaccinated, there will be consequences.
So, misinformation, disinformation, I believe that's what he said there, actually, today in Philadelphia. Interesting. This is what Pierre Polievre, of course, has to say about Pierre.
Justin Trudeau's not a liberal.
Trudeau.
It might surprise you to hear me say that. He's not a liberal. The liberals used to believe in liberty, and conservatives believed in conserving it. That was the common sense consensus we had in Canada. Justin Trudeau does not believe in liberty. He believes in government control. He wants to control your money. He wants to control your kids. He wants to control the economy, control your speech, control your bank account. He wants to control everything. That is illiberal. It's the opposite of liberalism. I don't want to run your life. I want to run your government. And a government that does a few things well rather than a lot of things poorly, a government that minds its own business and lets people live their lives. That is the traditional.
So, that's pretty much it in a nutshell for that one. It's what he wants. That's what he wants for all Canadians. And 9 years of Trudeau, you know how you're living when it regards to housing, groceries, bills, carbon tax. I could go on, but he would lead you to believe that we are just living our best lives ever. All Canadians are living our best lives ever. We've never had it so good under his leadership, if that's what you want to call it. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy talking about Trudeau. I played this in other podcasts, but you know what? It's well worth a listen.
You mentioned Trudeau in your remarks. You mentioned him again now. What do you make of the man? He's been in power for 8 years now, even though he has a minority government. He's got a coalition. Is he a cautionary tale for Americans? I don't think Americans follow Canadian politics too closely. What should an American know about Justin Trudeau?
This is a preview of coming attractions. I use that sarcastically, unless we course correct here. He's like a Klaus Schwab Jr., sort of a Klaus Schwab disciple. And I think that he is somebody who is a useful puppet. And it's not that this guy is some sort of shining intellect that is somehow a visionary in his own right. He's not. He's a pawn for a managerial class, both within and outside of Canada, that uses people like him as a pawn to advance a transnational globalist agenda that has a single hegemonic view that is fundamentally skeptical of self-governance, does not believe in people's ability to govern themselves, believes in a worldview where people need to be told what the right way is or isn't to live by a small group of aristocratic elites in the back of palace halls. That was the old world European view. It's what's alive and well in Canada, unfortunately, today. And the idea that Trudeau's actually the guy calling the shots is a joke. He's just a puppet, a pawn for that deeper, what I would call permanent state. And I think that much similar to the United States, I think that that's a big part of what you're seeing happening in Canada now.
Exactly, and that was Vivek Ramaswamy talking about Justin Trudeau. And let's hear, one of my favorite podcasters, always has been. I've listened to Joe Rogan for well over a decade. He's awesome. Here's what he has to say about Justin Trudeau.
You live in the frozen communist hole of Canada.
Yeah.
It's cold. You get real cold water.
When's the last time you've been up there?
Right. I don't go up there anymore.
You refuse, right?
Yeah. What they've done up there, what they did with the trucker rally and what Trudeau's doing with guns and But they're trying to clamp down on censorship on the internet. That guy can eat it. Like, that place needs 100% an overhaul of government. Like, they're sliding down that dangerous road of communism that scares the shit out of me.
Exactly. That was a little clip from the True North, of course. And that's Joe Rogan. And here is, people before I watch him, is Bill Maher. That's what he has to say.
Justin Trudeau. What? You're laughing. But Justin Trudeau, I mean, I thought he was kind of a cool guy. Then I started to read what he said. This is a couple of weeks ago. He was, or maybe this is September, but he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not smart of him at all.
Right. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them. Now you do sound like Hitler.
That was...
And recently he talked about them holding unacceptable views.
Wow. I'm surprised to hear that Trudeau said those things.
You didn't see the blackface? I mean, no, I'm kidding. I'm not. I mean, that was not a good look for him.
No, that's bad.
But I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I think, what gets under people's skin.
That among millions of other things, because the guy's he's not doing a good job. And if you had an employee in your business, if they're not doing a good job, you get rid of them, right? Simple. Here's a reporter asking Trudeau a question, and this just goes to show you how he just does not give a shit about Canadians.
Thank you for your concern, Laura.
This is a
behind the Conservative.
this is a question that's asked. Bad polls.
Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, I want to ask you about leadership. Polls have put you 20 points behind the Conservatives, and it doesn't seem to be getting better despite your recent communications push from your budget. The public...
And it's plummeting, by the way. Liberals are plummeting. PCs are climbing, all because of his ability to flush all the plans of this country down the toilet. And he's thinking that everyone in Canada's doing great. We're all doing great.
Appears to have an overwhelmingly negative view of you personally, and you seem to have lost control of the conversation on some of the key issues that Canadians care about. I think the public might be looking at you and your position right now and thinking, for the good of the Liberal Party, why is he staying on?
Because he's a narcissist. Look at Ford behind him. He's just biting his tongue. He really is. He doesn't want to say anything because he loathes him. He really does. He just doesn't want to say it because it's political suicide for him, right?
Thank you for your concern, Laura.
He makes it a joke, but he's a narcissist. That's what people do. The guy, if he wanted to do what was right for Canada, would resign. If he went in the House of Commons and said he wants to hold an election tomorrow, let's do it, let's make it happen, because his ineptability to lead this country and make us all flourish and do well, it should be first and foremost on his mind, but it's not. You know how I know that? And you should know it too. Because of all the money that's coming out of your pay jacket and going to aid other countries and being spent on taxes, taxation, groceries, right? Gasoline, the list goes on and on. If you could honestly say your life is better because of his position in this country, I'd like to hear you in the comments. I really would.
But as you see, we're here investing in good jobs for today and for generations to come.
He's living in a dream world. He really is. He's living in a dream world. I'm going to play you a couple of video clips here. I already played you the one there from the True North that he was in Philadelphia. Here's a great one here. This is from Chris Erickson. The WF is filled with monsters. Klaus Schwab leaving will make no difference towards this agenda. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. And this is actually a quote, right? This is what Klaus Schwab said in 2017. He said, "But we are very proud now is the young generation like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. We penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half his cabinet, or even more than half his cabinet, are actually young global leaders for our World Economic Forum." Klaus Schwab, 2017. So there you go, right? We didn't elect Klaus Schwab. The people of Canada did not. The majority of them did not. The majority supposedly elected that guy, Trudeau. So here is Jordan Peterson talking about Trudeau. This is from a Concerned Canadian. Let's do all that we can do to ensure the political defeat of this highly inept and incompetent government. So here is Jordan Peterson.
And utterly unqualified for the job. And he's scuttled the Canadian economy. Our housing is twice as expensive. We're slated to have the worst performing economy in the developing world for the next 30 years. He's scuttling the energy industry. He refused to deliver natural gas to the Germans and to the Japanese when they came cap in hand asking. He's at war with Alberta, which has like the third largest oil reserves in the world. Saskatchewan has the largest uranium reserves. Canada could be insanely wealthy. Canada's in the state you get in when you elect Peter Pan to be your leader.
That was, of course, Jordan Peterson.
Every single word that Justin...
If you don't follow Jordan Peterson, you should, because he is incredible. He is a great Canadian, and he's doing really good work. So anyway, here's another one from Concerned Canadian. I like these Concerned Canadian tweets. They're really great. This is a direct result of abject fiscal incompetence and policy failures of the Trudeau government. The number of citizens that have no other alternative but to use food banks is unprecedented. Our country is on the verge of collapse, and Trudeau appears powerless to improve it. So if you look at all the food banks, look at all across our country, D+, D-, 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 C-, C+, D-, right across, because of the number of people that are going to food banks in this country is outrageous. All because of incompetence at the top. It's the way it works. So here's again Trudeau. He's talking about, because there's a big scandal again with the Speaker of the House. I'll play that for you just in a moment, because it's at the end of this other clip. It's another scandal for the Speaker of the House, Gary Fergus. Here it is. I'll just play it for you.
Order! Greg Fergus's job is to keep MPs in line, but Conservatives say he has crossed a partisan line in a job that requires impartiality. The offense, this invite to an upcoming Liberal event in Fergus's riding, scrubbed from the web but saved by the official opposition. It reads in part, Pierre Polievre and the Conservatives propose reckless policies that would risk our health, safety and pocketbooks.
For the good of the institution, of Parliament, and the enduring interest of the House of Commons, I regret to say that the Speaker must go.
The Speaker's office said the invite was written by the Federal Party without Fergus's knowledge.
The Liberal Party of Canada basically blindsided the Speaker. And in this case, that's why the National Director of the Liberal Party of Canada, I believe, needs to apologize fully and completely to the Speaker of the House of Commons.
This is not Fergus's first controversy as Speaker. Last December, the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois tried to oust him after he appeared in a video message at an Ontario Liberal event wearing his Speaker's robe. He was forced to apologize in the House and pay a $1,500 fine.
I am deeply sorry.
Tensions reignited just last month. Fergus ejected Polievre from the House after the Conservative leader refused to withdraw these comments.
This wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister.
On Tuesday, the Prime Minister stood by the Speaker.
I have full confidence in Greg Fergus as Speaker of the House of Commons, as a thoughtful, independent-minded leader. The issue was dealt with, was addressed by the party.
See, it's supposed to be nonpartisan, right? So he's supposed to be impartial, but he's a Liberal. When he threw out Polievre for what he said, and yesterday in our house, Poliev said something to Freeland, and then Freeland, of course, it was like a back and forth. But Freeland called him a name, and several names, actually. She pulled back one of them. But here's I'll play this one here for you here. This is what Pierre said to Chrystia Freeland. This was yesterday, May 21st.
Bank of Canada has a target of between 1 and 3%.
Not only does the incompetent finance minister not know the inflation target, she doesn't know that you lock in low rates when you have the chance. Remember, the Prime Minister was saying, don't worry, we can double the national debt because interest rates are low. Yep. Glenn?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
Problem is, I told him at the time that they should lock in those rates for 10 years or 30 years with long-term bonds. It turns out they didn't do that, and now $400 billion of that debt will roll over into these higher rates, forcing Canadians to spend more on interest than on health care. Why did he hire the worst mortgage broker in the world to be our finance minister?
Wasn't that great? I think it was. Saying that she's the worst in history. So this is what Freeland was saying to Poliev.
Think that you pay down debt by borrowing more, that you stop inflation by printing money, and that you fight the drug overdose crisis by legalizing hard drugs. So at least they're consistent in their irrationality, Mr. Speaker. But now they've been forced to backtrack right before the election on their legalization of hard drugs because Canadians are revolting against the policy. Today we have a motion that will be voted in the House to permanently ban hard drugs. Will this government vote for that motion, or will they admit that they plan to legalize drugs again after the next election?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader...
Now, she's very boring to listen to, and I don't even like to listen to her myself because she talks really slow, and she'll go, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem really answering a question quickly. So what I'm going to do is drag it out until people run out of time. And that's how she speaks. It's actually quite annoying. But he asked her a question, and you heard what he asked. And this is her answer.
Is wearing more makeup than I am today. Now, I think it's wonderful.
Yes.
She said that he is wearing more makeup than she is today. That's the answer to the question, the serious question that Pierre Polievre asked her. And this is her again, her response. I almost don't like to play this again, but I'm going to.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is wearing more makeup than I am today. Now, I think it's wonderful.
Now, of course, the Speaker asks her to pull that remark back because it's unparliamentary. So she had to. She did. She pulled it back. But then, of course, she said a couple other names, and he let that slide. So you have to be impartial, and you have to be equal for both parties. You can't swing liberal, you can't swing PC. But he was an actual liberal. He was a liberal MP, sat on their side, answered questions, asked questions, and did all that stuff. So you have to keep that stuff in mind. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. We've been talking for about 20 minutes here. Showed you a few Twitter files, showed you a couple of YouTube videos. I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit about what other people in the world think about Trudeau and what he's done to our country, and why doesn't he do the right thing and step down and resign? That's a question I ask myself a lot, because is it because he's a narcissist, or does he love power so much? Obviously, it's not loving the Canadian people, because if he loved Canada and the Canadian people, he would do what's right and step down. He would resign as soon as possible and let someone else take the reins of this great nation instead of stomping on the rights of people in this country. The citizens, I think, have had enough. And I'm going to show you a little clip here. And this is from Senator Don Plett's Twitter feed. Senator Don Plett's a great senator. He asked a question talking about the Bank of Canada report released earlier this month shows Canadians already struggling to pay their mortgages may fall further behind over the next 2 years. The Bank of Canada says about half of the outstanding mortgages are held by borrowers. So I'm going to show you this clip before I sign off. This last clip. Here we go. Listen to the answer.
A Bank of Canada report released earlier this month shows Canadians already struggling to pay mortgages may fall further behind over the next 2 years. The Bank of Canada says about half of all outstanding mortgages are held by borrowers who have yet to face higher rates. By 2026, the median monthly cost for Canadians with a variable rate mortgage and fixed payments is projected to rise by over 60%, Leader. This is the consequences of the Trudeau government's inflationary spending and taxes, isn't it, Leader? What do you think is going to happen to those families?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you for your question with regard to mortgages. The government has taken important measures to protect homeowners with the Strengthen Canada Mortgage Charter, which builds on the government's existing guidance and expectations for how financial institutions are to work with Canadians to provide tailored relief. And as interest rates continue to decline, as the government predicted it would, despite skepticism from other quarters, I am advised that more than 99% of mortgage holders in Canada are in good standing. Mortgage delinquencies in Canada have remained consistently low and are at their lowest level in decades, just 0.16% on average in 2023. That's a 55% decrease compared to 2014. Things may be difficult and are difficult for individual Canadians, but it is not because of the government's support in this area at all.
Senator Plett.
Only because of this government. He is absolutely not worth the cost. Thank you for helping me with that. Let's do that together now. According to the Bank of Canada, even mortgage holders with fixed rates will see their payments increase. They are projected to climb by 20% next year and in 2026. Does the Trudeau government honestly think families can afford this, Leader? How many Canadians are going to lose their homes?
Senator Gold.
Thank you for your question. The government of Canada has demonstrated and will continue to demonstrate its support for Canadians, homeowners, those seeking to acquire their first homes, and to renters. There is a suite of programs in place that the government has brought forward to assist Canadians, and they will continue to be there for Canadians.
See? All that is lip service, right? That's just lip service. And that was in our Senate, Don Plett asking that question to Gold, who's the mouthpiece for the Liberals in our Senate. Anyway, it's just lip service because actions speak louder than words. They can talk all they want, but if it's not making our lives better, then it's not doing anything. They can spin all they want, say all the stuff they want narratively until our lives are better. What they're doing doesn't do shit. Words are just words until they're put into action. These people that are in these positions are going to get a rude awakening in all these little ridings when the people that are in there now that are Liberals, some of them are bailing. Some of them are already resigning and not even running for office again next year because they know. Same with the NDP. They know what's coming. I believe, you're going to hear it here first, that leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I believe that Pierre Polievre is going to have the largest majority government that Canada has ever seen. The first one was Brian Mulroney back in the early 90s. He was the largest majority government holder. I believe Pierre Polievre will be our next, and this is May 22nd, 2024. So See if you can hold me to that. Anyway, let me know about what you think in the comments below about this podcast. Just certain things that I've thrown out there. Like I said, actions speak louder than the words, and we are the boss. They work for us. We're paying them, those MPs, $204,000 a year. They work for us. Make sure that you talk to them and get some answers. Before I sign off, I want to let you know that I am on Rumble. I am on, of course, Twitter. And I'm on all social medias as well. And I can be, of course, found on YouTube. That's one of my main ones anyway. And please, like I said, leave comments below and subscribe and like to my channel if you haven't already. It's much appreciated. And share it and like it because it really, really helps with the algorithm, especially when you just like it. Just a simple like. It moves the videos around and gives other people a chance to check out my videos. So, all right, everyone, 30 minutes in. Thank you very much again for listening to the podcast. It's much appreciated. And until next time, everyone, have yourself a great day. Cheers. This episode sponsored by He Shirts, She Shirts. Go to www.heshirtssheshirts.ca. Just type in the letters TSA, The Surge Effect. When you check out, type in TSA for your coupon and receive 10% off your next purchase. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, everybody.